I need Dean's camera that gives you that warm glow. Makes you look like you're at the beach.
I know.
Ashley's
Digital
got
Photoshop.
Yeah, Ashley's got it looking tan, like looking pasty. I don't know, but that's my look. That's my look.
Steve, your glow is natural. Mine is artificial.
Same.
That's funny. Oh, here we go. Hold on. I gotta let more people in.
Aaron has all your new TikTok video. We're giving you a whole new regime of talent in making videos and lighting and all that stuff.
No, I use TikTok because it's really easy to make videos. It cuts off like 2 hours off of editing time.
Awesome.
Hey guys, sorry I was late to the call. How's everybody doing?
Hey.
Good. Good. Hey, John.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going? There's Diane too. Nice, man. It's nice. I haven't seen some folks in a while. Dean and Ty. If anybody, well, I don't think it did that like snowboard video go out on social media there, Ty?
Heidi put it there. Yeah.
She did.
Why?
Yeah. So if you ever want to see like Travis, there's Travis Rice going big in Jackson Hole. And then there's Ty Montague going huge on the farm in Pennsylvania on the snowboard. Almost hits a cow over the fence.
Yeah.
That looks scary.
Backyard boarding. It's intense.
Yeah. Looked like you're having fun. Hey, Terry. Hey,
yeah,
Tom.
it was fun.
Well, welcome everybody. Really, really appreciate everybody being here today. Good crew. Let's what do you think? Should we jump out to a little to a little, I don't know, one-on-one sesh first?
Sure. Let me give it. I guess we're pretty good. We got a good crew here. So for those of you,
Fanny, I see you're back. Nice to see you.
For those of you that are new, we do a breakout room. So we get some breakout rooms, about two, one-on-one, maybe 3 people in a room for about 5 minutes or so, and then we regroup here for the meeting for the day. So let me start the rooms, and we'll see you all in about 5 minutes.
We're still here, Brendan.
I know, I'm sorry.
Everybody's like almost.
Balaji, he's so impatient.
Long time no see, Balaji. Join, I'm in room 6.
4.
16.
To see some of the early folks trying to break those silos down.
Yeah. But it's like a system, right?
Then give you 5 more seconds, right? It should time down 5 more seconds. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Agnew.
No, I was just thinking, just a final thought is the idea of a systems approach to everything. I think people are shying away from a systems approach because it's too overwhelming and complexity scares people. But if we don't deal with it now, I think the organizations are going to be lagging behind, and the winners will take the whole thing, right? Because we are going to attach ourselves to those who care about us. And let's see who wins,
Are you guys still in your breakout, guys?
Well, we have some. We
got transported in.
They were late. They were late.
David
They were
is here,
late.
man.
So they had their
I
own.
love it.
They had their own room.
Wagner's dropping some wisdom here, man. I love it. Hey, it looks like I'm super psyched to see some folks I haven't seen in a while. Like Jennifer, where are you, Jennifer Napier? I see you. Oh, there you are. Yay, you're here. Awesome. Super psyched you're here. And David Swift, I haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you.
I know. I tell you, it's these hours, the middle of the night here.
I know. Sorry about that.
But it's great. It's great to be back and see you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, let's just, for those people who haven't been here in a while, one of the things we've been doing is just taking like a minute each to kind of intro folks. So if you haven't done that yet in the last, 3 weeks, just jump in and give it a minute. We'll cut the mic off after a minute if somebody's going too long, but so go for it. No pressure. So David, maybe you start.
Okay. David Swift's my name, Irish by birth, but working in Switzerland, procurement guy, formerly in charge of human capital, all things contingent workforce, no longer doing that. But I'm actually using the services of many contingent workers because 3/4 of my team are contingent workers. I'm now in a different part of procurement. So always had an interest in this area, and it's great to be here and meet new people and also catch up with some old faces as well.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, David was like super important in the formation of the CTW because we did that design sprint last July, and it was really great to have have your leadership. And Jennifer, like, drop in here, man. Tell us what's going on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Napier from Business Talent Group, and I am physically located in the Chicago suburbs right now, hoping for the snow to finally melt. But I'm super excited to come back and join the group after a bit of a hiatus. So I can't wait to hear some knowledge dropped from all of you great people. So thanks.
Awesome. And then I just am looking around the room. I mean, volunteer if you haven't talked, but I see Brad Norris. Brad, you and I had an amazing conversation last Friday. So welcome to the group.
Yeah. Hey, pleasure, everyone. This is my first meeting. So eager to learn more about how these things flow. I'm the founder and leader of a company called Dialed, and we are working to tame the complexity and all of the what we call collaboration confusion when you get a lot of different hybrid workforces together, people from various departments, people internal and external to an organization. So we're working to solve that problem and make it easier to have alignment among your tools, your communication, and just be able to launch and tear down these teams very quickly.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Hey, one of the things I loved about the conversation with Brad this week is that he was at Rally Software. And so Rally Software was at the very beginning of the whole Agile movement and created this amazing training and certification business that went public and did really well. And he and I riffed, there's a company called Scaled Agile here in Boulder that you guys should all check out. They've created an incredible framework and are doing a great job of teaching folks how to adopt not just Agile software development, but Agile philosophy across an organization. So really, really cool. And I think it really, really applies to kind of what's happening here. So who else hasn't been on raise their hand if they haven't introduced themselves. Hey, Nelly, what's going on?
Hi, I'm happy to join the group. That's my first time. Darren Murph, the head of remote at GitLab, introduced me to this group. So I'm happy to be here with everyone. My official title is head of workplace transformation. But basically, I'm one of the leaders pushing for reimagining our workplaces and making sure they're more inclusive and that they can embrace remote. So that's my piece.
Awesome. And Nelly, who do you work with?
I work for Verchance, which is a workplace analytics platform.
Perfect. That's awesome. Okay. Who else that hasn't raised their hand? Anybody? Got so many great folks on.
Hey, let me go.
Hey, Vlad.
The first time here.
Yeah, good. Nice to see you, Vlad.
Hi, stoked to be here. The first time here on this call. Frankly, I expected this to be some sort of a podcast or just silently listening and figure out new stuff. And there's out of nowhere a bunch of people and they have to talk, but great to be here.
Clubhouse.
Good. Yeah, come to Clubhouse.
Yeah, I expected to be Clubhouse.
Yeah. Todd did a great job. Who joined Clubhouse last week? Todd did a great job, Todd, on doing that. I think we're going to do it again for sure. Devin, have you been on a call before?
I think once, a couple months ago. Hi everyone. Devin Brown here. I'm in Boulder, Colorado, close to John. My background is human capital consulting, playing in that space, particularly in the leadership development and org design and executive coaching. Super interested in future of work and open talent, and here to learn and see what's going on in this space.
All right, thanks. Anybody else that I forgot?
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm tuning in from Ireland. I work for CXC Global. I'm a solution sales specialist, and we are a global payroll. So that's just a bit about me.
Awesome.
So this is my first time and looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, welcome to the group, Hannah.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else that I forgot? Awesome. Well, maybe let me give you some updates on things that are happening. I feel like there's lots of momentum and lots of crazy cool stuff that's happening. So I want to, kind of give you some ideas of what that is, and certainly welcome any input. And let's just have a broad dialogue about what's happening and what we need to do to take things forward. So really awesome. First of all, awesome work by the work stream groups. Really love the, love all the momentum and where things are going. A couple of things, Jeff on the call here, Jeff Bojar, who's I see there. He's helping me out to keep things organized and keeping the trains running on time as far as getting all this stuff. I think this year, it's all going from all the great, building community last year to kind of let's get some things, going. And kind of the three most important things that we're doing is a training and certification program for coaches and consultants on the open assembly side to really scale the framework. How do we get kind of common language across an industry? And then training certification on the CTW side for participants, for people inside big companies, mid-level manager, let's say at Unilever or another company like that. And then how do we help them get kind of open talent manager training, things like that. So Devin, who's on the call, and Barry Matthews out of the UK are actually going to lead that charge, and had some great meetings with them. And we're talking about, Catherine and Stephanie did a great job. I know, as you guys know, last couple calls, the end goal here, I think, is to create some asynchronous learning opportunities for coaches and consultants and for participants on the CTW side, so that somebody can drop into our community, get to a place where they can get into a library. Mark Hanot's doing a great job with Ashley building out a library and educational materials, but being able to start being educated, do some training asynchronously, and then get certified. My sense is that's going to take some time to do. And so the thing we're talking about, Barry and I and Devin, is creating synchronous learning opportunities to start with. And that would be probably using the Scott Galloway, Professor G perspective of, regular sessions over a 4-week period, and then some asynchronous learning that people can kind of gather on their own. So we had a great talk, Jeff and I did, about some of the framework for that, and really, really excited about that. Our goal is to get the coaches and consultant training for a prototype group to start with, probably 10 to 12 people. And we'll start kind of end of May. So anybody who's interested in that and wants to experience it and be a part of that, please let us know. We want a really great first cohort, and we'll ride right into another cohort as well. So we'll be, dropping them in pretty quickly. But lots of really great stuff. And then Brian has done a great job on accreditation. That's the third leg of the stool on how we're going to kind of get everybody aligned. So, Brian, it's awesome that you're leading this because you were so experienced, and we've had some great conversations about it. So really moving down the path. And if you guys didn't get a chance to join a couple of weeks ago, Brian really went through the details on what accreditation could be, how we would do that, where we're going with it, and he gave himself a steep deadline the end of the month to kind of have something to show us. So looking forward to that, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
You'll do it. You'll do it.
I know, it'll be fun. We'll be ready.
Yeah, for sure. So those are the updates, kind of what we're doing and on all this. I mean, I think, one of the beautiful things that we went through last year is really align philosophically, right? We're trying to get some alignment there. And I think now we're in that process of aligning from a framework standpoint, and we need some key activities to get done. Dean, thanks again for all the, the cloud, the FinOps stuff. I've been reading that and checking it out, and really appreciate the guidance there. And then, the next step is to get aligned around some key activities. And I feel like these 3 legs are going to be really great. I mean, obviously we have to do some other things like create membership opportunities and things with the group. But then the other thing we've been discussing that's been a crazy, interesting conversation is economic alignment as well. So we're going to put that on kind of in the parking lot for right now. And then we'll get to that, because I feel like we got to deliver on, getting this alignment around the framework. The last update I have for you guys is around the book. So we've had 4 meetings, 3 people are interested in the book. I was telling Balaji and Diane and Steve that I had the most amazing meeting, because I've always been into, and this will be my 6th book, I've always been into the content of the book. And, so for the other publishers I've talked to, they've also been into the content, talking about the content. And then I talked to a publisher yesterday, a publisher of a big New York, book publisher. And he was like, yes, freelance, open talent, whatever it is. Can you sell 10,000 books? I'll buy your book if you can sell 10,000 books. It was like right to the chase. No, he didn't even care what I was interested in writing or what the proposal said. And so it really made me think about like, how are we going to scale this book and scale this framework? And I think it does speak to, you know, how we need to think about like, what can we do as a community to scale these ideas in a big way? Can we use the power of the community? And I'd be really psyched to get any input from you guys on how do we do that? Can we create, you know, opportunities for Jen and Kareem and I to do speeches with books, you know, sales, or can we all as a group commit to like, you know, some books that we can help sell to our friends or other associates or things like that. But I really want to create a movement here. So, you know, Ashley and I had a really good conversation. I don't know, Ashley, have you thought some more about that today?
Not really, other than what I shared with you about some options to partner with the partners and the platforms and getting customers involved. I don't know if you want to share some about kind of what we talked about in terms of the different communities we could tap.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can go, you know, I started putting together some thoughts today on, you know, firstly, can we, you know, include in the collective memberships and the memberships to the CTW books, you know, can we do that? Can we, you know, make sure that every person will just build a book into the training so that everybody that goes through the training gets a book, but really looking for ways to scale. I'm not too concerned about, you know, selling books to make money. I'm more concerned of selling books and putting books in people's hands so that we're really aligned around the core philosophies that we're all trying to promote here and create less friction in the adoption process. So would love any input, even if it's not now, anytime that you guys can give it to us would be really awesome. So hit me up, or you can mention something now or whatever.
Well, John Younger told me when I was publishing my book this past week, you need 20 great 5-star comments right away on Amazon.
Perfect.
So that's what I've heard.
Okay, good. Congratulations. What's the book on? What's your book on?
It's branding for freelancers in hardware development.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, could you put the link up in the chat so we can all check it out and give you guys a 5-star, or give you a 5-star rating on Amazon?
Thank you so much. I will.
Erin, this is my favorite question to all the authors. So, tell us a little bit about why a book versus a series of articles, or I hear a book is a painful process. So why do you subject yourself to that?
It's actually a really short book. I was going to do just like a free giveaway booklet, but then I was like, oh my God, no, they need more. No, they need more. And then it just kind of exploded into a bigger thing. And then I was like, well, I might as well publish it. But it was still meant to be something to attract people to my platform, Odd Engineer, eventually.
Awesome.
And I like what you're saying, Balaji, around like, you know, what necessary a book, why necessary a book. I saw that super interesting thing was Microsoft and Steelcase. They came up like with a content series, and I just found it was super thoughtful, super interesting. So happy to chat, John, if like I can bring value and ideas to that.
Oh yeah, I love that, Fanny. You always have so many great thoughts, and I've been here since the beginning, right? So I would love that. Yeah. Anybody else that has any good input would love that for sure.
I think I wanted to piggyback on what Erin said, but I don't know anyone on this room. The one person that invited me is not here, but I'm sure everybody in this group is working on something phenomenal that will impact how we think about the future. So it'd be great to have that one page where we can support each other's initiatives, because we ought to be the advocates of each other's work if we want to make our voice more powerful and more spreadable.
I really love that. That's a great idea. Why don't we create, Brandon, why don't we create some way to do that? Let's create something that we can, you know, a way of sharing what people are working on, and you know, what they're doing, and what kind of, maybe it's like name and address, you know, email address, and then what they're working on and what they need, you know, what they need help with from the group with. That would be a really great thing. So
okay. Yeah.
What if there were a benefit to a future group of workers, you know, kind of like the Girl Scout cookie approach, where it was a bunch of kids that their lives were impacted not only by a change in global climate and a better world, but also a better work environment for them as a result of what you've said in 2021.
Love it. Thanks, Janice. Anybody else have some thoughts? Hey, Jerry, you're the expert, man. You and I got to reconnect. Sorry, I haven't gotten back to you on that email. But Jerry's written 30 books, so I always feel humbled when he's on talking about books. He's done a little bit of everything.
The only advice is don't rely on the publisher to promote your book.
Exactly.
Because they don't do it.
Absolutely.
And I just found out that the last book we published through a independent publisher in India that published the book in 40 days, compared to all the big publishers. Like my last two were Harvard Business School Press and Wiley, were 9 months, which is crazy.
That is really
they
crazy.
did not add any value. So my strong recommendation, guys, just find out the fastest way to get to the market and hire a PR firm to work on the promotion and forget the publisher doing any work for you.
I think that's great. That's great advice. Thanks. I mean, Ty and I talked about the same thing. Ty's got a great book out. From how long ago was that, Ty?
2013.
2013. Great book. Story doing.
I'm still recovering, but I'm hoping there's another in me somewhere.
I know,
Worth
right?
it,
I
Ty?
know.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it?
It's a great question. Yes, it was worth it. I don't know whether people find the book to be worth it, but it was personally worth it, because the act of writing a book focuses the mind, and it allowed us. I stupidly agreed to write a book and launch a company at the same time, and the book was about the process that we were developing. And so the book became a forcing factor for me to get very seriously detailed about the process that we were creating. So as a kind of compression exercise in my own thinking, it was immensely helpful to getting our business off the ground. And hopefully it created some value out in the world. I can't speak to that as much.
No, it was awesome, man. I think it's
I can
highly
speak to that.
recommended.
It's valuable. It was
Thank you.
valuable, Ty.
Thanks.
Yeah,
John.
there you
I
go.
appreciate it.
There you go.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Did
Hey,
somebody-
John, just one
Yeah,
question I have for you about the
Yeah,
book.
man.
It's something I don't even know where I'm going with this, so that's
good.
always dangerous.
That's why I rely on you.
What's the business model of the book? Like, I think, in other words, if the book was out there to fund something specific, maybe I'm building on somebody else's idea, but like if the book was out to, I'm building on the Girl Scout cookie idea. Like, like what would this organization want to fund if it could, and could some of the proceeds of the book go toward that effort? In other words, so that you're getting people to not just buy the book, you're getting them to buy into this change that you're trying to create in the world.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I would say, well, first of all, I received a royalty check the other day for my 5 other books, a couple of different ones, because I have a couple different publishers, and it totaled about, I think it was $7.45. So
right.
I don't know if it's a good funding, unless we're going to buy like 1 cup of coffee per quarter.
Yeah.
But, I think, one of the things that intrigues me the most would be able to fund the activities that Steve Rader's doing around the advocacy for the workers in the group. So Steve just took on, for those of you guys who haven't been on the calls for the last couple of weeks, Steve Rader's kind of taken the charge of the advocacy work stream and really focusing on how do we think about, all the big issues on the workers side of the community. I think one of the things that I found difficult in my own journey here is, like, if we say, the goal is the transformation of work for 1 billion people by 2025, which I love and I buy into 100%. Then, to do that, the next step is, we've got to really change the adoption by companies of open talent. But then you start going down that demand side, that kind of funnel and down the wormhole, and you forget, like, oh, well, we're really doing it for workers, and how do we improve workers' lives? And so I really appreciate Steve raising his hand to do that. And I would say, there are lots and lots of things to fund there.
And if you have not seen the film Nomadland, it's worth watching. In regard,
totally worth watching. Yeah, has everybody seen that? It's an amazing film.
Really great amazing film.
Yeah, kind of wanted me to make, even though it was desperate, I kind of made me feel like I want to go back to the desert with you, Ty, and hang out and get ready for another White Rim ride.
Damn right. I'm damn right. Niece say yes, let's do it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Hey, John, one thought, and I've seen this work, an old colleague of mine did this, and it's very fitting for the topic in this audience. we could crowdsource all the content with this group. So I had a former colleague that worked with 20 different professionals to write sections that turned into a book, and he really stitched together the overarching story. And given what we're probably going to write about, that may be quite fitting, and also we'll push the burden to more people.
Yeah, no, I love that. One of the things we've done already is create about 100, aggregated about 100 case studies, and a lot of the folks on this call are in those case studies. So one of the things we thought about is like, here are the case studies, but then we want to go out and like have some conversations. I mean, Paul, so as you guys know, if you guys don't know, Paul and I had, I don't think it's out yet. Is it out yet, Brandon? So
I already
Paul,
got it. Yes, it is.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. So Paul and I had an amazing podcast. What was that? A couple of weeks ago, and I think it went live. So Paul, and it's amazing that one, really took off as far as listenership as well. So good job on that, Paul. I don't know. I think it's your, that hair and the beard that perfectly groomed that like drew the crowd in. So
I'm sure that has nothing to do with it.
It was the deep thoughts, but it was a great conversation.
It was the 7 times we were required to drop Balaji's name, probably.
Yeah, exactly. I know we had to go on and on, right? Brandon kept saying one more time, drop Balaji's name one more time.
I only heard it once. After that, I'm done with this podcast. I'm going to go back.
See, we met the requirements, Paul. We met the requirements. Well, here it's in the link. So Brandon just put it up, but it's really worth listening to. I'm going to put up also. Let's just see. There's an article by Liz Altman, I think, from MIT Sloan. Have you guys seen this yet? It's really worth checking out. So I love her perspective of workforce ecosystem. Just new, and Greta was kind enough to connect her into the community, and she couldn't make it today, but she's going to start making the calls. Really excited to have her as part of it. She's doing a bunch of work around workforce ecosystem, and it's very similar to a lot of the work that we're doing. So really want to welcome her into the group and, create that kind of momentum so that we're all kind of thinking and talking and sharing along the same lines. So yeah, check that out. Well, what else? I kind of wanted to make this a more open session. Let's just jump in. Anybody have any thoughts they want to kind of talk with the group and chat about? And
John, I have a question for you.
Yeah, Jerry.
Since you're trying to encourage companies to use open innovation, what do you do when a company is concerned about the union and the union reaction to this? I've been in the midst of discussion with a cultural institution that can benefit enormously from open talent. And they are in early stages of discussion with the unions, and they are scared stiff of doing it. So any advice?
That'd be great. I mean, I'm not going to take that one because there's so many really amazing people on the call that are way smarter than I am on it. But, anybody else? I see Adam Sandlin here. I know you guys have probably.
Hey, John, I'd jump right in on that.
Yeah,
Gary,
go for it.
I think there's some opportunity,
John,
and
go for it.
we're even seeing it after the UK Supreme Court ruling against Uber that took place last week. And I would encourage anyone who's living in this marketplace to talk about the temporary staffing industry as an example where industry and business and governments have figured some things out. So you used to hear of temporary staffing as precarious work, and that's the language that the unions like to use on any kind of non-traditional work, as they like to put it. And there's an easy way to disarm people when you can say, hey, when the parties came together, they figured it out. This is just a different model of delivering temporary labor. And it's giving, in my opinion, the worker a whole lot more flexibility. It's digitally tracking things in a way that is going to be far more efficient for everyone involved. But let's go back and look where we figured some things out versus trying to write a bunch of rules. Because what we've seen is that the countries and the governments who have tried to put rules in have screwed them up pretty bad. And they've had to go back and rewrite everything that has been put into play. So there's at least an example where you have an intermediary in the labor market that is making things work. We can figure it out from there.
Yeah, I love that, John. Great thoughts, and obviously.
Do you have any
really
examples, John? Any examples for specific companies that were able to create a coexistence between open talent and the unions?
So if you go to, it's the World Employment Confederation is the organization. There are 50 countries around the world who have all figured it out. And they have a group that is actively lobbying on behalf of healthy labor markets in each of those markets. So World Employment Confederation, or wecglobal.org, will get you there and get you a start on that. And Balaji, to your point, it isn't. A lot of the temp staffing companies have moved on to independent contractors and using 1099 labor, but they have the responsibility for making sure that it's done properly. So again, you've got an industry sect who's moved on. So whether you're looking at the Adecos or the Ronstads or the Kellys or the Manpowers or the Robert Halfs, they've all gone down this pathway. And then you can go into the smaller organizations and they've done it as well. They've just stayed more under the radar when they're doing it. So happy to connect with you offline if you want to talk further on it.
If you want an example of a good industry that does this pretty well, is like the hospitality industry, where you can have in the same hospital, there are some servers are full-time, others are temp, and they all coexist. And I think, I'm not sure if union manages all of them, they're firing and hiring, but I think it's a pretty standard approach for these two groups to coexist.
Thanks, Balaji.
Universities as well, another good place to look for it.
Jerry, 3/4 of my team are contractors, and I work for a unionized company in the pharmaceutical industry, and it doesn't seem to pose any problem, right? We have projects that we work on, we bring people on board for those, and then when the projects are finished, they roll off.
That's great. Thank you.
I think at the higher level, it is the old way versus the new way. Like you're just going to see this clash over and over as the traditional 40-hour week, full-time, guaranteed work comes up against this other model. And I think there's some key differentiators, right? The old outsourcing that people remember, right? That if just trying to get labor for cheap, that's not where we are today. We have a skills shortage, and this is actually helping us to fill the skills shortage largely. And it's probably the thing that's going to allow the workers to upskill and to keep up in an age where automation is taking things faster and faster. And so I kind of look at this as, hey, there's a big change going on here, and the old ways are going to definitely stand up and fight, because there's power shifting going on, there's money shifting going on, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. But I think it's always good to go up a level too, and to really contextualize what's going on.
Jerry, this is Brian. I just have a quick question. When you think about the union concerns, is there a particular narrative that calls your attention to it, or is it just more of a hypothetical exercise? Because
No,
I'm curious
it's real. That's very real. It's a large cultural institution that is in the early stages of negotiating with the union. And the CEO is scared stiff of moving toward open talent, which is a must and a savior to this institution, because he's concerned as to what will happen with the negotiation with the union. So it's a real problem right now. So I think the examples you brought
Freelancers
already
Union
terrific.
and IPSI are two others that you may tap into.
Yeah, great points.
Very good points.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, great. Hey, anybody else? That was such a great question, Jerry. Thanks, and really helps a good dialogue. Anybody else have a question for the group, or
I mean,
insight
maybe
or
just a
anything?
question for David and at least our friends in Europe.
Yeah,
I'm hearing lot of noise about the UK Supreme Court and its implications on gig economy in Europe, and I'm also hearing a lot of noise that the Biden, at least the direction that they are taking, is very anti-gig economy. And are you hearing anything? If this group is a cross-cutting group that covers the demand side, supply side, and pretty much everybody, do we have a role to do anything around that versus being victims of it when things are decided for us?
I seem to remember, I think it was me that had suggested this some months back. Like other industries, we need to lobby, and that's what people in Washington and Brussels and other capitals do, because there is a perception in Europe, at least, that this is creating, low-paid jobs. It's no certainty. All of the sort of Uberization of the economy. But actually, that's the perception. But the reality, there is that, of course, and all the people delivering meals and things like that. But the reality is, we're talking about professionals who are highly skilled, and many companies just want to get them and can't get them through the traditional channels. But the politicians and the unions paint it in a different way, or at least that's the perception that comes across. I think that's the challenge that this industry has, in my opinion. And we have to use all means, including, I think, lobbying the people that make these decisions and create this legislation.
Well, if I may, having been a freelancer for close on 10 years, I can tell you right now that labor in at least my industry, and I'm an attorney, I tend to think of that as somewhat skilled, is being commoditized. I think if you've ever read Richard Susskind, he's very clear, at least in the UK, that what we all think of as a lawyer won't exist by the end of the decade. So I do think that there is that there's cheap labor being created, because I've been on that payroll. And two, I don't understand, Jerry, if I may, where the issue is in terms of dealing. I don't know, obviously, I'm sorry, I just don't know which union you're talking about. And David, I think before we start talking about lobbying, we should probably talk about what we're going to be the objective of that lobbying, because I'm a freelancer, and I'll tell you right now that it is at its worst, and it is everything that people complain about. And I'm working as hard as I can right now to get into some of the law schools so that I can sit down with these, I call them youngsters, but they're the new lawyers, because I'm a mentor with the Tennessee Bar Association. And when I sit down with my mentees and I do my speech about the impact of disruptive technology on law and the practice of law, their eyes just get bigger and bigger and bigger because they've never heard about it. But I'd like to know, those are the questions I would be asking. If it's a creative institution, I don't know. I mean, it's been, for example, orchestras have been, for better or worse, unionized for a long time. My sister-in-law is a violinist with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and on the other hand, I'm a little more cautious in terms of the direction we're headed, and I don't necessarily. I'm concerned when I hear the unions described as a monolithic source of evil, because quite frankly, I know something of the history of unions, and I've been a union member off and on for 50 years, and they have accomplished some things that are beneficial. Now, if you're a Teamster, perhaps not, but I was not. Am I rambling? Or, I mean, one, I think
it's all good, Alan. Yeah, no, I think this is a super good point. I mean, I think that the thing is, like, we need more points of view from the freelance worker, right? We need more points of view from that.
I think we need to take a balanced approach. Otherwise, otherwise we're going to come off as in the pocket of the employers. And I don't know that that's going to do any of us any good. I understand, Jerry, that there can be some concerns. I used to work construction, and it was my family's company. And I would show up on the job site every summer, and it wasn't 10 minutes. And the business agent would be there to check my union card.
Right.
So I know what happens, and I'm sympathetic, but I think we need to take a balanced approach, and we need to take a more cautious approach toward throwing.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan. I really appreciate that. I think that's, again, a good reminder that we got to make sure that we take a holistic approach, and like you said, and really, you know, make sure that we've got everybody's point of view involved. So
before we go off the topic of unions, the PRO Act is going to, I think, the House of Representatives on Monday, I think it is. And that is where apparently AB 5 was so incredibly successful that all sorts of other states are adopting it. And the PRO Act is kind of the federal government's adaptation of AB 5. And so although AB 5, I don't think anybody thinks was a success.
Right.
I don't understand why this is being propagated, but the reason why I bring this up, other than the fact that it's on Monday, is that it's actually extremely engineered by unions. And the majority of the PRO Act, I mean, the AB 5 thing, the ABC test in there really impacts the independent workforce, but the rest of the PRO Act is all about, you know, significantly strengthening unions. I mean, my eyes started to cross when I was reading it. But, you know, like it or not, and however one may feel about unions and whatever the history is there, that they are part of the discussion. And I think along with policymakers and people who are in full-time jobs, it is very, very hard to understand the group of workers that don't want protections, you know, or want to provide those protections for themselves, or, you know, are independent or whatnot. So I think I am concerned about the power of the unions. I'm very concerned about it, actually. If you read the PRO Act, it's extremely heavy-handed, and it is moving very far back in time, and yet it's got a lot of momentum behind it.
No, certainly. Well, will you keep us abreast on that? I mean, as things go forward, you know,
Well,
to do that.
The AB 5 is just an example of government's inherent mistrust that people are going to act in a way that that basically will pay their taxes. There's so much activity happening around it, and even AB 5 in California has been watered down with multiple amendments, and then with Prop 22 really gutting it for the fundamental purpose, which was to incent Uber and other ride-sharing functions to classify people as employees. It's had such a really deleterious impact to so many types of work. And statistically speaking, people who work in open tele platforms or as independent contractors are overwhelmingly happier in their jobs in every single conceivable dimension. It's unfortunate that we see something like the PRO Act driving the ABC test, which is so rigorous, down the throats of the nation. If you're really interested in the topic, the most common test is called the Borello test, and that's a more nuanced one. So between the ABC and the Borello test, those are really some of the more common ways in which jurisdictions evaluate employee employment status.
Yeah, that's all good comments. Mark brought up something in the chat as well, as like how do we play a part in this CTW? Could we create a mentoring program, maybe niche specialty group? I mean, I would really encourage, if people want to have a specialty group, just to jump on it, let us know, and we're happy to facilitate that, and would love to have some folks and some energy around that. I mean, obviously that comes out of the advocacy thing too, and maybe connecting with Steve. I know Steve's got his hands full right now, but maybe it warrants a separate group, but would be great to kind of coordinate there. So really encourage that for sure. So thanks for that. Was a great discussion, Jerry. Thanks so much for bringing that question up. I think it's paramount, and sometimes it's super easy to lose sight of some of these bigger trends, because we always want to work on things, at least I do, that I can control, or at least have at least sight into, and these kind of discussions are kind of so big, and I'm not quite sure how to even engage with them. So,
Brian, if you don't, could I get a hold of you offline and maybe we can chat? Because you obviously know a lot about this, and I'd benefit from at least having that conversation, if you don't mind.
yeah, Alan, who did you want to? Oh, Brian. Yeah, cool.
Brian Pena.
Yeah, good. Brian Pena, great. Yeah, just you can put your stuff in the chat if you want to, or we can make the connection for sure. Hey, I want to bring back some of the oldies that have been around forever. Dean, I want to call on you. How's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing okay. I was worried about you there for a while. Maybe you got like swept away by some avalanche, or you're buried like in some snow cave somewhere, like on some hillside, just like, eating caribou or something like that.
Say that like it's a bad thing.
I know, it's not a bad thing at all. It's actually, I know. I mean, I wasn't worried about you. I was just jealous. Maybe I should put it that way. Like, why does he get to do that and I'm sitting in front of a Zoom screen?
No, yeah, thanks. Sorry, I don't show my face as much, but I need to get back. The kind of the roots of my heritage here is at a company called TopTal, which a lot of people are familiar with. And then at Verticent now, which has a services firm with a talent network, which we'll talk about more coming in the future. But the conversation, I think, just to like pivot over that, at my previous organization, I helped put together part of the kind of compliance program, and through that I did a whole bunch of research. A freelance platform, are you supposed to hire people? Are you supposed to engage them as 1099s, ICs? What's the difference? And that's how I got to know Brian Pena at his previous life at MBO Partners and other places. And it's fascinating. I guess what I would just say, anyone on the topic who is interested in learning what's it like to be a temporary W-2 employee at a traditional kind of firm, talk to them about that versus maybe their experience on a freelance platform. It's absolutely eye-opening. What the kind of the temporary W-2 status is absolutely not a permanent employee status. I've bumped into many people who have been temporarily employed via W-2, which means they have a full-time employee dozen times in one single year, which is it's actually the worst of both worlds. You're neither independent nor permanent. It's like quasi in the middle. So I'm pretty passionate about that area, basically letting people make decisions, but being sensitive to the context of what that comes with. And then just another side note is I've actually gone independent. So when I moved over to Verticent, I'm actually a completely independent person, run my own S Corp now. And so it's been interesting to kind of walk the talk, as it were, I guess, and learn from that. So anyone who's not done that, I encourage you to go try it.
That's awesome, Dean. You're always on the edge, cutting edge of this stuff, and really encourage anybody to connect with Dean to talk about those things for sure. I just was looking at the list here and wanted to ask somebody else. Oh, hey, Chris, from Top Coder. What's happening with the digital wallet? You guys taking some, making some progress there? Super interested in that.
Yeah, we're really excited. So we got through our, we're following a new shape up model for our development process. We just got through 6 weeks of development, and we've got a sort of 1.0-ish wallet going on. It's a functional SSI wallet. It complies to the Trust over IP stack, and we've inked deals with Evernym and Credential Master for the SSI processing. So we're going to start to build out that infrastructure now. But if anybody's interested, I can show at some point what that wallet looks like, and what how we would do an issuance of a verified credential, and how that credential could be shared. So what's neat about it is that if you have an SSI compliant wallet, you can zip these credentials around to any of these wallets, which is pretty cool. So we're very excited about that, and hopefully in the next shape up that we're doing, the next 6 weeks, we're going to flesh that out some more. As we integrate and standardize the APIs around the back side of that. And then maybe I can do a demo for the group here as a whole, which would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Love to do that. I mean, I think that's an important thing, right? Giving kind of the privacy, given the privacy issues and given the power to the workforce. It was really, really interesting stuff you working on. Really appreciate you guys leading the charge here, and hopefully other people can get involved and we can create kind of some kind of mass adoption on that.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I think it's, having this stack, this SSI, trust over IP stack does provide a ton of benefits to everybody, which is, you're sort of compliant out of the box with GDPR-like rules, and it gives more power to your community, which I think is massively great. So, and so as we progress, we're going to then start taking all our things that we issue to our members, like our ratings and our evaluations of them, and issue them as verified credentials that can be shared around, and hopefully other people join us in that sort of model.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Look forward to hearing more about that. And I'm personally really excited about that, giving kind of the workforce more opportunities by allowing for the transference of, reputation ranking and things like that across platform. So, all right, well, we're up to the time. Any last comments? Always love these discussions. What a great one today, and really appreciate it.
I have a quick comment. John Younger is doing a survey with the University of Toronto. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but I think they're looking for participants. So if anybody is interested, I guess let me know. I think I got the email from him. I can send it to you.
Yep. Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Let's jump in on that. Anybody can help. John's doing great work. Really appreciate his perspective. He's done some great writing, and make sure you tap in. It's always a bummer. He's always got, a class or something else he's teaching that he can't join the conversation. So, anyway, it looks like we're at the time. Man, I really love this group and really love the momentum and effort. So thanks again for everybody. Really good to see, some old faces come back and some new faces, and really fun. So look forward to next week. See you guys.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye.